Welcome back into Foolish Club Media. I am Steven Serda. Run a few minutes late. Post-game show. Kansas City Chiefs take down the Detroit Lions, improve to 3-3 on the season with a 30-17 win. Joined as always by my guy Rocky Magaña. We would have been on time if it wasn't for my own stupidity, but I wasn't paying attention and was late to the post-game show. So I apologize for that. Sorry we're running a few minutes late. But Rocky, we got everything we wanted tonight, right? After last week's frustrating loss to the Jacksonville Jaguars, a team that I still believe the Chiefs are better than. They bounce back tonight. They improve to 3-3. They do it against a very good 4-1 Lions team. And I think they did it really in impressive fashion. Like, I think this is going to be one of the turning points of the Kansas City Chiefs season, and we get Rashee Rice back next week, Rocky. Like, we couldn't have asked for more on Sunday Night Football this week.
Listen, guys, Steven's just being humble. What actually happened was he saw Brian Branch throw that punch after the clock went out, and he was halfway out the door with his chucks laced up and just had to just make sure that he didn't need to get down to Arrowhead in order to back up the boys. Like, our guy Serda, he's loyal through and through. And if his lady hadn't reminded him they needed to be on the podcast with me, he'd already be, flying down 435, trying to get to the stadium to back up the boys. But I'm feeling as salty as Brian Branch right now. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good about life. I'm feeling good about this game. I'm feeling good about this team. I mean, you came in and you played against the number one offense in the NFL, and you made them look pedestrian in the second half. You completely took away their ability to run play action and put them in bad down and distances, which is what they hate, which is what they don't want to do. Andy Reid talked a lot, we went in halftime about the offense needing to stay in rhythm for the Chiefs. But the Lions offense is 100% predicated on rhythm, 100% predicated on playing off of play action fake and running the football and then setting up those quick little slant passes to Sam Laporta and Amon-Ra St. Brown. And when they took the running game away from them, it was like they became one-dimensional, and the Chiefs just shut them down. This was a team that was averaging 34 points a game coming into this game, and the Chiefs literally held them to half their normal output.
And, I know the Lions are really banged up right now, Rocky. And so we got a lot to get into about this game on the offensive and defensive side of the ball for the Kansas City Chiefs, because I do think we learned a lot tonight. And I think that the offensive performance specifically, I think, and this is without surprise, Josh Simmons unavailable, inactive. We just learned about this a few hours before the game. Thoughts out to Josh Simmons and whatever he's dealing with right now. Had some kind of family emergency. We don't really have any details on it, but had to go to California. Was not in Kansas City tonight, so the Chiefs did not have him available. But Jalen Moore stepped in, and for the most part, Jalen Moore was pretty solid. He had a couple of rough moments, but Jalen Moore looks like the guy that they gave a 2-year, $30 million contract to step in and be that spot starter when you need him to be and not have a dramatic drop-off. So I hope everything's going okay with Josh Simmons, and hopefully he's back with the team this week, and it's nothing super serious. But that's kind of a curveball, too, coming into this thing where you're like, hell, we're going up against, the Lions got a bunch of injuries in the secondary, but also, Aiden Hutchinson is one of the best pass rushers in the NFL, and he made his presence known very early in this game. And he, for whatever reason, they got him in a one-on-one matchup with Noah Gray, and he absolutely obliterated Noah Gray. It's like, I'm not even mad at Noah Gray for that. That's not his fault. He's got no business being one-on-one with Aiden Hutchinson in that circumstance, but the Chiefs got dealt a pretty serious curveball ahead of this contest, but they showed up tonight. And Rocky, this is the first time this season I feel like it was from start to finish. They played well, and they played disciplined, and they played serious. They were taking it seriously because they knew they had to get this win. They knew it was important. They knew we can't go 2-4 we got to pick up this huge win, especially against a team as talented as the Lions, to prove that we can simply do it. And they went out and they made a statement tonight. Now, the only thing that I'm worried about here moving forward, and it's like, yes, Rice comes back next week, and I know we're all really excited about that and hoping that like he is everything that we believe he's going to be and everything that he showed through the first 3 games of last season. Like, but right now, the only thing that I care about is them playing consistently and showing that they can play that way consistently, because we know they can win games when they don't have their best game, when they don't put forth their best effort on any given week. But the biggest difference this season was the mistakes were just piling up in such a massive way that they couldn't overcome the mistakes the way that they had overcome them in the past. But I do think that this game was a statement in the fact that, like, this team right now, I feel better about the overall makeup of this team than I did at any point last season when they still won 15 games and went to a 3rd straight Super Bowl.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the whole thing is when this Chiefs team is not shooting themselves in the foot like they have in all 3 of their losses this year, you watch them and you say, like, this is not a 2-3 team that we're watching on the television screen. Like, as far as like from like a quality standpoint goes, like this is not like you're not watching the New York Jets out there trying to play football and unable to move the ball and
Thank God I didn't watch that game.
Yeah, just be completely inept.
Completed 9 passes in an NFL game today.
Yeah, like just be completely inept at everything you attempt to do. Like that's not who the Chiefs are. They're just a team that's just been making crucial mistakes at the wrong times. And so today they came out and they played mistake-free football for the first time all season. And when this team isn't hurt, we always say like the only team that can beat the Chiefs is the Chiefs. And that's been true all year. And the Chiefs have beaten themselves all year long. And today they said, okay, we have to get this win. We're not going to beat ourselves. And they came out and they, at home, they beat a very, very, very good Detroit Lions team. And I know their secondary was banged up, and I know, and their offensive line was banged up, and blah, blah, blah. Like literally every time the Chiefs are missing guys all last season, like nobody's out there playing a tiny violin for the Chiefs and making excuses for them, right? And feeling bad when the Chiefs lose a game because they're shorthanded because of injuries. Injuries happen in football. You got the guys that you show up with, and the Lions are a really good team, and the Chiefs just outplayed them from top to bottom today. I thought the Chiefs ran the ball really well, but just going back to Jalen Moore really quick, like not only did he play very well against this, like a really good like Detroit Lions pass rush.
And it's not just Aiden Hutchinson either. Like their defensive line's been good this season.
It's legit. And so, but the thing is, like he did it on 0 notice, right? Like he found out today that like, hey, you're starting at left tackle. And I know it's a next man up mentality, but to be able to come in on that short of notice and then put up the type of game that he put today, it speaks highly of him as a professional and as an athlete, but then also of like the prudence of the Chiefs to go out there and say, we're not going to sit there and put ourselves in jeopardy again at the tackle position like we did last year. And it makes, I mean, honest to God, I don't care if Jalen Moore has to start another game the rest of the season. Like his contract is worth it because this was a must-win situation, and he came in and pitched a really good game at left tackle, and the Chiefs got the win, right? Like his signing 100% was worth it based on tonight alone. Like this is the whole reason why you signed him, you know, 100%. To the contract in the offseason. And that Noah Gray snap, like I don't know whose fault that was. There was a mistake on that play regardless. It was either Creed.
I'm gonna bank on it being the tackle's fault. Well, I don't think Noah Gray was supposed to be left on an island with a.
Well, part of me is wondering if it's either the tackle's fault or maybe Creed called out said the wrong guy was the mic and he counted it off wrong, right? You know, before pre-snap. But yeah, something happened in the communication along the line there, and that never ever should have happened. And God bless Noah Gray. He did everything he could to try to hold up against Aiden Hutchinson, but like. That's just not going to happen.
And we almost never see Mahomes put the ball on the ground, and like he actually fumbled the ball tonight. Yeah. Thankfully, he was able to recover it, so it wasn't Like it wasn't like a devastating turnover or something like that. But man, it's just coming out of this thing with this team still clearly figuring things out. I think especially on the defensive side of the ball. And then I think over the first 4 weeks of the season, it felt like they were still really figuring things out on offense. It feels like things are figured out now on offense. And now you're working Rashee Rice back in next week. And Travis Kelce has a great night tonight. Hell, Hollywood Brown has been really impressive the last 2 weeks. And he comes up big tonight with 2 touchdowns. But like the last 2 games of Hollywood Brown have been more impressive than anything we had seen from him so far with the Kansas City Chiefs, in my mind. And Worthy has kind of a quiet night. He does find the end zone. He doesn't have any big plays, but like I'm still willing to bet that like brighter days are ahead for Xavier Worthy. I'm still wondering like the ankle issue and the shoulder things, like still working all of that stuff back in and trying to make sure they can get him as healthy as possible so this offense can totally become unlocked when Rice comes back. But dude, this offense hasn't looked like this in 2 years. Like this offense hasn't looked like this in a long time. And for the first time in a long time, it looked easy. And I think what got the Chiefs burned last week against Jacksonville was like, it still felt like part of what we had seen the last 2 years from Mahomes, where he was doing too much at times and pressing and throwing bad picks and trying to make plays because he simply didn't have enough playmakers around him. Like I felt like we saw some of that last week in Jacksonville, where to me, it was like he was pressing when he didn't necessarily need to press. And then you have that 99-yard pick six. And then after that, it was like, he was trying to hit a home run on every single drop back. And tonight I felt like it was like the perfect mix. Like they didn't really need to test Detroit deep down the field tonight. Like they had their game plan and it was, Pat, we know you can go out there and pick this secondary apart. They're going to give you some problems up front, but navigate that and try to avoid the pass rush and make some plays. We can run on them a little bit, and then we're going to just kill them in the intermediate area of the field. And that's what the Chiefs did all night, and Mahomes executed it to perfection all night. And it's like, when that's in their bag and when Mahomes can play like this, where he is just carving up defenses, and then you can start mixing in the fact that you're going to have Rashee Rice back, who's going to be one of the biggest yak monsters in the NFL, in my mind. And then that opens the things up with like Tyquan Thornton. I don't even think had a catch tonight, but he's going to have a role moving forward deep down the field. And then Worthy, as he gets more and more healthy, like it feels like we're legitimately on the cusp of this offense, like totally unlocking something and like exploding and like making a legitimate statement. And I want to get in the defensive performance because I was impressed with them overall tonight, but I still have questions about all of that. But it's all about what the Chiefs are doing on the offensive side of the ball right now, because this is the first time in a long time that it's like, oh, when you need 7, I'm actually confident these guys can go get 7 when you need it now. And it's been a long time since I felt that way, Rocky.
Well, when you have 3rd and 8 or 3rd and 9, you also feel confident that they can pick up the first down, which last year you weren't always confident that could happen unless Mahomes was able to leak out and run the ball, right? And so, hats off to Andy. I think that he obviously there's a big emphasis on them trying to drain the clock late in the game, right? Because they had the lead. But hats off to Andy. He kept coming out and running the ball and being committed to the run, right? More than not just passing the ball every single down. But then also, like, let's just face it, Mahomes is playing as good as he has ever played in his entire life. Even last week, before he had that pick six, he was playing an amazing game of football, right? Like Mahomes has been on point this year. And so, I mean, when you have Mahomes clicking and then he has weapons to throw to like he has right now, and like I agree, Juju Smith-Schuster isn't going anywhere. And maybe Tyquan Thornton's, his impact starts to fade down the line, especially with Rashee Rice coming in and coming back, and then Xavier Worthy still ramping up. And so, but Like they just have targets everywhere, all across the field, right? There's just there is no need to try to force the ball to Travis Kelce. He could just sit there and just operate within the zone and pick up the short yardage or the first downs when you need him to. And I will say this about the offensive performance today. It is helpful when they can't play man coverage on you because they don't have anybody who can hang in man coverage. So all they're running is zone all night. And all you got to do is just find the holes in the zone and sit down. And then you pick up the yardage and you move the football. But I mean, like the Chiefs did a lot of really cool things too, like Andy Reid was in his bag a little bit with the play calling. Let's be honest. There was like a triple reverse that was supposed to be a flea flicker to Mahomes that turned into a first down run, and that was probably
his touchdown run was badass too. Like it was just an option run for Mahomes. Can we get more of those around the goal line?
Let's just do that, right? I do that a lot on the goal line. And I will say this, RIP that Jared Goff didn't get a receiving touchdown. Like, I'm not sad that those points were wiped off the board because it was kind of a crucial moment in the game where we needed them not to score a touchdown. But as a football fan, I mean, that was kind of a cool play. Too bad they didn't execute it very well. But Andy Reid and Matt Nagy called a really good game with the exception of that one fourth down play that they did a naked bootleg with like Aiden Hutchinson bearing down. That was a dumb play call.
And that play was tough. And I tweeted out, like, I feel like we could have done something a little bit more. Cause we've seen the Chiefs do that a few times now. And it's like, I don't hate the play because usually Mahomes can just run for it. And that was the idea, I think, on that fourth down play. But then when it wasn't there, it was, oh no, I got to get rid of the football. And then you have an incomplete pass that you turn it over on downs. And it's like, I don't hate the call there because usually it works. But the problem is that this season Mahomes has been running so much that teams are playing it now. Like teams are scouting that now. They're identifying that in film and being like, oh yeah, like, whereas before he could just break it out whenever he needed to at opportune moments of the game. They had been so dependent on him utilizing his legs over the first month of the season that teams are watching for that now. And they were absolutely doing that on that 4th and 1. So it's like, maybe give Mahomes more options than just rolling him out by himself and hoping he can just pick up the first down. But overall, like I'm not trying to gripe at all because this similar to the Ravens game. And, we were hard and critical of this team last week against the Jacksonville Jaguars and deservedly so. But like, we know they can go toe to toe with the best teams in football. And I think Jacksonville is a fun young team that's on the rise, but I still don't think that they are in the same category as the Kansas City Chiefs. And we saw that tonight, even this Lions team that is really banged up right now. And I want to factor that into it because I do think their defense looked like early in the season, their defense looked like, okay, they finally got like a decent defense after they've had like an incredible offense the last 3 years and their defense had just been garbage. And now it's totally fallen apart. But that's like what the Lions have been navigating the past few years. So I don't think it's anything different than what they had already been dealing with. Like they are still one of the best teams in the NFL. And the Chiefs went head to head with them tonight. And the Chiefs shut them down in the second half in a way that I don't think any of us were expecting. And so, like, yes, the offensive performance is amazing. Like 30 points. Remember, Rocky, there was a time where the Chiefs couldn't sniff 30 points to save their lives. And now it's like, oh, they can put up 30 points whenever they feel like it again. And that's a nice feeling on the offensive side of the ball. But the most impressive thing tonight to me was the defense. And I do think that was the biggest thing in the second half too, was they were actually getting some pressure on Goff. And that's the biggest thing with Jared Goff is like, Jared Goff's a really good quarterback. And he probably doesn't get enough credit for how good he is. But his biggest problem is when you can put pressure on him, you can get to him and you can affect his game. And that's always been his deal. And I think the Chiefs did that in the second half, whereas like in the first half, it was like he had all day to throw and they had all day for him to drop back and find guys open. And they were not winning up front at all in the second half. And that's in the first half. And it was particularly frustrating in the first half because they're missing their starting left tackle and they have backups out there. And the Chiefs weren't winning in the first half. And then finally, Chris Jones comes alive. And I still think Chris Jones has been better this season than he's been given credit for. But tonight, it just felt like you could feel the circumstances were different tonight for this team and the way that they played and the way that they approached this game against this very talented football team. And they did that tonight knowing like there's no way we're going home without winning this game. And I think it was evident on both sides of the ball throughout the game. Like this was one of their more complete wins in a long time. And I loved everything about it, despite the fact that I was a little bit annoyed with the defense in the first half of this one.
Yeah, the defense was definitely keeping you like on the edge of your seat the first 2 drives of the game, and was definitely a little bit annoying. But we did say this last week, Steven, on this show, that the Chiefs matched up better against the Lions defensively than they did against the Jacksonville Jaguars, right? Because Amon-Ra St. Brown, he is an extremely talented wide receiver, but he's stronger than he is fast. And the Chiefs kind of like to play a physical style of coverage. And
they've only got one burner, and he's can really burn you. Yeah. But if you don't let him beat you over the top, he doesn't bring a ton else to the table, really.
And he had one really big play today, and he beat him on it, but that's what he's going to do. He's a boomer bust kind of guy like that, right? And so we said, okay, well, stop the run. Check. The Chiefs did that in the second half. And then shut down Amon-Ra St. Brown. At least don't let him get big plays and be consistently beating you, which they were able to do that. And then if Sam Laporta beats you, then Sam Laporta beats you. And Sam Laporta had a good game, but that's a lot of weight for a tight end to carry, right? To be able to hang with this Chiefs offense. And then we also said that, at least, what did we say? We said, well, at least Jared Goff isn't going to be running the ball, right? Like when the play breaks down, we don't have to worry about Jared Goff running against us and picking up a lot of yards. And we were right. Like
he did run for one tonight. I think it was only his like second or third scramble of the entire season.
Yeah, like once, so that's fine. But it wasn't a game-changing play, right? It kept their drive alive a little bit. But when the chips were down and pressure came, like he had nowhere to go and he couldn't get out of pressure, and he went down. And so I mean, like the Chiefs, like the Lions are a great team, but the Chiefs matched up really well against them, and I think it showed. And everything the Chiefs wanted to do just really came to fruition today on the defensive side of the ball. And all these comments, I'm 100% with you. Leo Chenal he was all over the place today, man. Like he was in the run game, he was in the pass rush. They lined him up at 3 technique when Jones went out of the game. Like what? Like how strong do you have to be as a linebacker to line up at the 3 technique?
I want to talk about Leo for a second, because like Leo has been this kind of like, I feel like nobody knows who Leo Chenal is outside of Kansas City. And he's just been nothing but like a solid player since the Chiefs drafted him, and also like versatile, but he doesn't get like the credit and the coverage because he's not Fred Warner out here. But dude, like he is so versatile as a run defender, and then also like an extra pass rusher that like, and we've seen that over the last couple of seasons. And yeah, he was great tonight. Like coming into the season, I was really worried about the Chiefs linebackers, and they've just been awesome this season. Like they really have. Like the linebacker room, like I thought was a big red flag coming into this season. And I think it's been much more about the pass rush and like the corner rotation that have been the biggest issues for the Chiefs. Whereas like their linebackers have been awesome, in part because Drew Tranquill, after like having a great first year here in Kansas City, last year he was kind of down and banged up and stuff. He's been awesome this season. Nick Bolton's been his typical just like solid self, but everybody will nitpick everything that Nick Bolton does because I guess that's just the kind of player he is. But not give him enough credit when he is awesome. And then Leo has just been great. Like Leo's just established this like perfect role for himself. And I agree with our guy Elliot. Like Leo's probably going to get paid at some point. It's probably not going to be here because linebackers are starting to make some real money now. But Leo's a great rotational piece for this defense, and he has been for a while, and just simply doesn't get enough credit.
No, he doesn't get enough credit at all. I think he will get paid. the only thing is, I think that Leo does need to be in a place where his versatility can kind of shine and he can do a little bit of everything, right? In order to fully maximize his abilities. Like if you try to make him this standard 3-down linebacker, I think maybe you're going to be disappointed on your returns. But if you're able to line him up as like this, like, you know, like dedicated pass rusher sometimes, or this run stuffing guy when the situation calls for it, or, you know, drop him into a very specific, you know, coverage situation. Like these, you have, like with Leo Chenal, a lot of linebackers, you just like paint a wide, like Nick Bolton, paint a wide brush. Drew Trink will paint a wide brush across the field and say, okay, this is what you're going to do. With Leo Chenal, I feel like he's like, you're very surgical. He's like a scalpel, right? Like he's going to cut through absolutely everything and get the job done and do exactly what you want him to do. But you have to take him and aim him at the spot you want him to do it at. And then he's going to do that exact thing that you want him to do and be 100% effective at it. And so if you're not a coaching staff that knows how to do that, then I don't know if you're going to get the same return that you want to get with him. But that being said, like, I mean, the dude's a stud. Like he's a beast. Like I still have visions of him to this day during the Chiefs parade of him just crawling up to the side of the bus and just doing like a full arm pull up and just pulling himself up like it was nothing and just climbing back on top of the bus. Like he's an absolute animal. His rise was off the chart when he came out as a draft prospect. And he's like I hope he's still in Kansas City because I think that he's a monster for this defense, you know, when you know how to use him, when you know how to deploy him.
Yeah, like it's just he's just been extremely underrated. And you brought this up to me during the game, and like we had some friends over and we're watching like Sunday Night Football on the projector and everything. So I guess I hadn't really noticed this, and I saw some people talking about it on Twitter after you texted it to me, and so it's something I'll have to go back and check out. But I don't know about the usage of like Jaden Hicks tonight, but people were bringing it up in the safety rotation. And then it did seem like we were getting McDuffie a little bit more rotated in. Noel Williams certainly played more this week than he played last week. He did have to leave the game for a little bit and get checked out for a concussion, but he seemed okay afterwards. But he certainly played more than he did last week, which is encouraging because I think that was something that we were all frustrated about last week was like, why did he not play at all? Like, every time he's gotten on the field, like he's obviously a player, Spags. Like, what are we doing? Let's get this guy more involved. And then Christian Fulton, who practiced all week for the Chiefs, was just inactive tonight. And so I guess it's technically a healthy inactive, but also part of me thinks like, Rocky, I don't think this is like a because some people are like speculating like, oh, Christian Fulton, healthy inactive for the Chiefs. Like, dude, he just has missed so much time. Like, I think he just doesn't know the defense well enough. Like, I don't think that it's right now they feel like it's beneficial to have Christian Fulton on the game day roster until he can consistently practice and like get reps in because he missed basically all of training camp aside from the last like week or so or 10 days. Like he came back at the very tail end of it, then immediately gets hurt at the start of the regular season and has been banged up ever since. Like he just hasn't gotten reps in the defense. Like I don't think that this is some indictment on Christian Fulton and like what a flop he's been as of a free agent signing for the Kansas City Chiefs. I think he legitimately just hasn't gotten enough reps in the defense, and they're just like, yeah, we just don't. Even if you're healthy right now, we got to get you more practice time before we're willing to put you out there. And so, not going to just write Christian Fulton off this early in the season. I still hope that he finds a way to like have an impact for the Chiefs at some point this year. But we could all see that like Noel Williams is a player and he deserves to be involved more. But then it seemed tonight like we were seeing a lot more of like Jamari Connor. Like, yes, he was playing a lot of coverage, but also he was rotating back into the safety area of the field like a lot tonight too. And McDuffie was rotating a little bit into the slot. And I think part of that's like a matchup based thing that it's Amon-Ra's a slot wide receiver. Amon-Ra's their most dangerous weapon. Like let's rotate guys on Amon-Ra and make sure that we're putting our best players on their best players to try to slow down the offense. And it was obviously effective tonight. Like this is one of the quieter games from all of the Lions weapons that you'll see from an offense that's this talented in a long time. Like Jahmyr Gibbs, David Montgomery are one of the best running back duos in the NFL. They light up opposing defenses. Amon-Ra St. Brown has been one of the best wide receivers in football this year. And Sam Laporta is a star tight end. And Sam Laporta like gets home tonight and like catches an amazing touchdown and winds up having like a pretty good game. But overall, the game plan on the defensive side of the ball was right. Like Spags had it figured out tonight. And I don't know what that means for Jaden Hicks. Like I'll have to go back and check and see if it was like, if it felt like it was like a matchup dictated thing, or maybe they just simply didn't like the way he was playing. I don't know. I'll have to go back and look at that this week. But the game plan was right because it obviously worked, Rocky. Like this was, it's at the start of this game. I was like, this feels like it's just going to be back and forth, no punts all night. And this is what it's going to come down to, who's got the ball last. And that totally changed in the second half. And it was in large part due to how the Chiefs defense played.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. And whatever reason why, did they bench Jaden Hicks? Did he get dinged up? Did they just like what they were seeing out of Chris Roland Wallace? Chris Roland Wallace made a couple really nice plays really, really early in the game. So maybe they just decided to ride the hot hand. I don't know. But whatever they did, it worked. Brian Cook. It's interesting because like if you watch the franchise, right, on the YouTube series that the Chiefs put out, Brian Cook has been featured on every single episode this year. And I'm like, just Brian Cook just have like unlimited availability and just want people in his house. And that's why he's in every single episode. Or are the Chiefs really just like trying to put him out there front and center as like a new like face of the defense kind of guy? And his play this season, especially the last couple of weeks, has really started to step up and kind of warrant that like kind of notoriety a little bit. And so I'm like, maybe they saw something in Brian Cook and they expected him to kind of step up and be one of the guys this year. And so now they're just like putting him out there because they want fans to recognize him like as like a guy to watch on the field.
And Brian Cook had a couple other big moments tonight. Like he's Rocky. Like I told you this, like I was critical of Brian Cook. Like I was not impressed with Brian Cook as a player his first 3 years in the NFL. He's been awesome this season. Like he really has been for the Chiefs. Like he's improved dramatically. It's a contract year for him. So like he's going out there and he's playing his ass off every week and he's looked great this season. So like I am happy to give Brian Cook the credit that he deserves. And I still think like Chamari Connor, like we've been talking about for months, Rocky, like Chamari Connor is a safety. Everybody knows he's a safety. Except for Steve Spagnuolo, who keeps trying to make him a nickel cornerback for some reason. And Noah Williams is obviously the better option there. And so I did think tonight we saw a little bit more of that. And so hopefully that means we're actually moving in the right direction. And they're finally moving off of this ridiculous game plan, because even tonight, like Chamari Connor got beat multiple times tonight. Like we all saw it. But I still think that like, the secondary, it's like you could still see glimpses of like how they can be a great secondary. And I think, and it was different tonight where like the secondary was struggling a little bit in part because the pass rush wasn't doing many favors for them, especially in the first half of this game. But like in previous weeks when they were generating pressure, it was because the secondary was locking everybody down. So it's like, when you have this like up and down nature of play on the defensive side of the ball, it just goes back to everything that we've been talking about, which is a really young defense and they're still figuring things out. Like it's trial and error, and you learn and you try to pick up everything that you can from the mistakes that you make to try to make sure that you can become a better player and not do those things next time. And so I'm still confident in Steve Spagnuolo and that he's going to be able to like turn this thing around with the defense. I think there's answers in the secondary. The thing that I'm still worried about is the pass rush, because Chris Jones was great in the second half of this game, but I still have plenty of issues with everything there. And, Charles Omenihu winds up having a nice game too. It's nice to actually see him like have an impact. Mike Dana had a couple of pressures. Like George was in there a couple of times, but like not necessarily making a ton of noise tonight. but like they still have pass rush problems. Like that's the biggest problem with this defense. And they weren't even going against a full strength Lions offensive line. But like in the first half, they weren't generating pressure, and that did change in the second half. So it was nice to see that. But I think part of the reason it changed in the second half is because Chris Jones was just like, all right, I'm pissed off. And Chris Jones was like, all right, I'm not playing games anymore. Let me go out here and show you why I'm a first ballot Hall of Famer and a perennial All-Pro.
Chris Jones came out and was like, damn it, I'm not answering these questions from the press 2 weeks in a row about did I delete my social media before or after the game? And did I give up, or did I just think the play was over? Like, I'm not going to leave any doubt. Like he said it was a learning experience for me, and I'm going to do better next time. Well, he had next time was this week, and late in the game, he came through in a big way. Like he put his money where his mouth was in spades in the second half. And there was, I mean, even though he it's not going to show up on the stat box because he didn't get the sack, he caused 2 or 3 sacks right tonight. That Amenahue sack was Chris Jones literally missing it, and then Amenahue cleaning it up.
Amenahue got the pressure because Chris Jones blew up the line.
Yeah, just blew up the line. Yeah, 100%. And but I don't know what you're talking about with George Karlaftis. If PFF says that he leads the league in pressures, you know, so
he does, but I think if we filtered that out to factor in like time of pressure, I think George Karlaftis would be very high on the list.
If it was pressures under 3 seconds, then
yes.
Yeah, I don't think so, right? Like 4+ seconds, 100%.
And like I still think like Chris Jones, even if he is slowing down at this age, like obviously he can still be a monster when he wants to be. Like obviously he can still take games over and be that game wrecker for the Kansas City Chiefs. But it's a long, grueling regular season. And I do think that like if they're going to do anything ahead of the trade deadline, that's what they should be looking at. And then there's reports that maybe they've been looking into running backs or whatever. I'd still like to see a little bit more Brashard Smith in the passing game. He didn't play a single snap in the first half for some reason, but then immediately out of the gate in the second half, first play of the second half, Chiefs hit Brashard Smith, and it was like positive game. Like, and that's what like every time Brashard Smith touches the ball, it's like a positive play. Like, and I know Pacheco and Hunt were good, and it does seem like they've kind of found something with the ground game now, and it's never going to be like they're never going to drop a 200-yard rushing game. Like that's just not the Chiefs. They just need it to be effective when they decide to do it. And it's at least been effective recently. And so that's really all you can ask for, barring the Chiefs, you know, going out and drafting a guy that turns into like a star running back or something like that. So like this is what it is. But like other than that, like it's at the trade deadline, like I want them to go out and look for pass rushers, but those aren't easy to find. Those aren't easy to trade and acquire for, and they're expensive. And it's like, so I don't know long-term what the answer is for the pass rush because there's nobody else coming in, Rocky. Like, it's not like they're waiting on somebody to come back. Like, I think this just is what it is. And Spags is always going to dial up the blitzes and try to generate pressure wherever he can. But at the end of the day, like, I think the secondary is talented enough to still get you where you want to go. If this is the offense that we're getting, and I still don't think we've seen the best version of this offense, then this team at 3-3 right now through 6 weeks of the season, getting their best offensive weapon back next season, is still fully capable of putting it all together and going on a run in a wide open AFC right now and a wide open NFL. Like, there has not been a single team in the league this year that has shown that they are like head and shoulders above the field. And that's why, like, they don't have to be the best version of the Chiefs this season, but this version of the Chiefs offense with the defense slightly improving down the stretch, that's good enough to get you where you want to go.
Oh, 100% it is. This team is good enough. Like, everything they want is still before them. And this team is good enough to go as far as they will take themselves, right? Without shooting themselves in the foot. Like, all the talent is there for what they need to do in order to be successful this year and to, I mean, to contend for another Super Bowl, Like this, they're that good, especially on offense. I think that it is interesting to see with the pass rush, to kind of see let's just be honest, like we'd like to see Ashton Gelati develop. We'd like to see some Omar Norman Lott development. Maybe that's where the pass rush gets picked up a little bit from, but I'm not holding my breath. FAU being injured or not really panning out and being a first round draft pick pass rusher, it's like when that happens, there's consequences to stuff like that happening. Like I'm not going to smash and kill the FAU pick because I liked it when he came out. He just didn't pan out, and that happens with draft picks sometimes.
Yeah.
But like if he had hit, we'd be talking a lot different about this pass rush, right?
Yeah.
And he just didn't. And so it's I'll say this about the Chiefs pass rush. It stinks that they have to blitz, it seems like, in order to create pressure nonstop. But it's never boring to watch.
Yeah.
like it's always fun.
And Nick Bolton, Spags has been dialing up the Bolton blitzes, and Bolton has been a menace as a blitzer this season.
Yeah.
But it's the only thing that we could really look towards on the defensive line right now and be like, can they get more out of this down the stretch? Is like Ashton Gelati or Omar Norman Lott, really just taking a massive jump. And I'm not saying they can't do that. But that's the game they're playing right now. And I still think this team is, the offense has more potential than any Chiefs offense that we've seen in several years. The defense, while maybe it is taking a step back based off of what we've seen over the last few years, is still good enough. They're not the worst defense in the NFL. They're still good. They're still talented. They could still make plays. They could still figure things out, and they could still get more out of these young guys as they figure things out down the stretch. So I do think that they'll be able to do that. It's now, I would feel so much worse if they had dropped this game and they were 2-4 heading in next week's matchup against the Las Vegas Raiders. But Rocky, it's a noon kickoff. It's week 7. Rashee Rice is going to be back in the offense. And I feel like next week we're going to get our first real look at what the actual Kansas City Chiefs offense is in 2025. And so that's what I'm really excited about. We buckled down. We got through the first 6 weeks. Wasn't pretty, was frustrating, but they're 3-3, everything in front of them. And they just beat one of the best teams in the NFL. And now we can start focusing on how this team is only improving and hopefully just moving up as we move along the rest of the way.
Yeah. And we spoke a little bit about possible trades that the Chiefs could make. And yeah, if they could find a way to land a pass rusher, which is very unlikely, then yeah, that would be awesome. But like you said, pass rushers come at a premium. And for everybody out there who's really banking on the Chiefs trading for Alvin Kamara, I don't think it's gonna happen. If the Chiefs were going to trade for Alvin Kamara, the Saints wouldn't have given him 8 handoffs in the first quarter today. He would have been on ice to keep him safe.
The Saints owner was literally like, I asked Alvin if he'd be mad if we traded him, and he was just like, yeah, I don't want to be traded.
So, he was like, oh, well, we'll just keep you then.
Yeah.
I guess we're not going to try to do that.
I don't think they're trading Alvin Kamara, unfortunately.
No, and then, the same thing goes for Devin Singletary as well. He played, okay, maybe Jalen Wright, from the Miami Dolphins. I would actually really like that because I was really high on him coming out, and he was a healthy scratch the last 2 weeks. So it does seem like maybe Miami is shopping him. Yeah. But at the same point, he hasn't had an opportunity to do anything because he's been blocked by Devon Achane on the depth chart. But I'm not sure it's a move that moves the needle enough, right? And so
especially not when they've gotten positive return out of Rashard Smith.
Yeah. So
Elijah Mitchell was one of the biggest off-season waste of signings that they possibly could have made. Especially when you see Rico Dowdle for the second straight week rush for 180 plus yards. But I don't think the Chiefs have a running back move in them despite the reports. But I do hope that they are picking up the phone about pass rushers and seeing if there's something they can add there, because I think that would be a game changer for the defensive side of the ball. But at the end of the day, it's a fun night. Chiefs win 30-17, improved to 3-3. And I think we're all feeling great about them heading into week 7. They get Rashee Rice back to match up with the Raiders. The Raiders are reeling. Geno Smith has been garbage. Like, this should be an easy win for the Kansas City Chiefs in week 7 as they get their number 1 wide receiver back. And we can really see how this offense finally like opens up and see what the actual like final form of this thing might actually be, with all of these dudes healthy finally, after we've waited like well over a year to see all of these guys healthy and together at the same time. But he's Rocky Magaña. That's where you can follow him on Twitter. I'm Steven Serda. That's where you can find me. Thank you guys for hanging out with us tonight. Be back this week covering everything you need to know on Foolish Club Media ahead of the Chiefs week 7 matchup against the Las Vegas Raiders. So be on the lookout for all of that. Beach season, showing BK, Brian's World. Kramer's doing an amazing job on the Foolish Fantasy Show. So please make sure you subscribe, rate, and review all of that stuff. Appreciate you guys hanging out with us, and we will talk to you soon.